This is the new MG5, an all-new model that offers a lot of value for money, and it's very affordable, but it does miss out on some of the active safety tech you might expect in 2023 and beyond. Does that matter? Should you ignore that? And is it a good car? Let's find out together. G'day, my name's Matt. This channel's called The Right Car, where I help you find the right car for your needs. This could be the right car for you if you just want a new car with long warranty, lots of value for money, and you don't care about safety tech. This is it. Stay tuned and I'll tell you why. This is Australia's cheapest sedan, and it might have a pretty tiny price tag by modern standards anyway, but it's not a tiny car. I'll tell you about how big it is soon. But keep in mind that the entry-level version starts at less than $25,000 drive away, and it comes with a bunch of pretty good equipment, including 16-inch alloy wheels, automatic LED headlights, LED daytime running lights. You also get push-button start and keyless entry, a 10-inch touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and fake leather interior trim. Now, if you step up to this one here, which is the Essence grade, it costs you $4,000 more, but it gets you a much more punchy turbocharged petrol engine with a dual clutch automatic transmission instead of the CVT. More details on the powertrain to come. And it also gets a bunch of extra features which you will appreciate. 17-inch alloy wheels, a sunroof. It also gets electric driver's seat adjustment and a few other bits and bobs as well. So it stacks up from a value perspective. What are the competitors to this car then? If you're looking for a budget-focused small sedan and, well, you don't want to spend more than 30 grand, there aren't that many options available to you. There are a few really good ones, but you have to be able to compromise on some of the creature comforts. For instance, you can get a Hyundai i30 entry-level model with a manual transmission for about the same price as this auto turbo top-spec version of the MG5. Now, the i30 sedan is a big car. In fact, it's very big, got lots of space, and it has a lot of practicality as a result of that. But it has a lethargic 2-litre engine, and at that price, you're sort of looking for the manual version. If you want an auto, you'd be looking more than $30,000. So it's not going to be right for everyone, especially if you are on a really tight budget. Another small car you might want to check out is the Kia Cerato. Just like the i30, you can get it as a sedan or a hatchback. Hit the link up there and you can check out my review of the GT version of that car, which is very good. The entry-level versions aren't as good, and they have the same sort of gutless 2-litre engine. So if you are after something that's a bit zestier to drive, well, this is probably going to be a better bet for you. And finally, a bit of a left field option for you, the Mazda 2 sedan. You probably didn't even know that they still sold a Mazda 2 sedan, but they do, and it's still, well, it's old, but it's pretty good. It is a lot smaller than this car, and it's almost the same kind of money, so it doesn't necessarily stack up from a value for money perspective, but it is pretty good looking, and it's pretty spacious, and it could be the right car for you if you don't like this. Tell me what you think in the comments. You might be thinking that it's small money, so it's a small car. Well, it's actually not that small. This car is almost 4.7 meters long, and in fact, it's only about 25 centimeters shorter than the last Holden Commodore they sold here. So yeah, it isn't little, and it's not little on the inside either. I'll show you that soon. I want to show you the boot though. Looks like a coupe style hatchback thing, right? It isn't. It's a sedan. Doesn't look like it is, but that does limit the usability of the practicality of this vehicle. You'll see the figure on screen for the boot space for the MG5. It isn't massive. It's going to be enough to fit a pram if it's a smaller one, maybe some luggage, a couple of suitcases should fit in here, no hassles whatsoever. But it isn't necessarily as practical as a liftback or hatchback would be, so just keep that in mind. There is a space saver spare wheel under the boot floor, which could make the difference for you if you live in a rural area. We all know how bad some of the roads out here can be. That does make a bit of a difference. Some other cars these days just have a repair kit. That is nice to see. You do have these gooseneck hinges which do eat into the space just a little bit, and one thing that might be a bit annoying for you is that the seat back is just a single piece. It just folds down completely. So there is no split fold mechanism to the seat back. That might be annoying for you, say, if you had a child seat in the back and you went to Bunnings and you ended up with something that was a bit longer than you could fit in the boot. Yeah, imagine that. That would be annoying. Anyway, otherwise it's not too bad of a boot space. For a lot of people, this is going to feel like the upgrade of a lifetime. If you're trading in from something that's maybe 10 or 15 years old, you're going to be absolutely blown away that you can get this much wow factor for this little money. This is a pretty nice cabin. There's a lot of nice features in here and a really interesting design to the dashboard in particular. Yes, it does have some cheap finishes, like the dash plastics on the top of the dash are a bit cheap feeling, and on the doors they are too, but at least you get soft elbow pads, a leather steering wheel, and some really nice plastic design elements to the dashboard, which I really think lift the ambience quite a bit. Sitting proud here is this 10-inch touchscreen media system. It isn't the simplest thing to get your head around, but at least there are buttons down below so you can jump between volume, home, and fan. But again, there is no fan toggle. You have to go through the screen to adjust that and also to adjust the temperature. So that could be better, but look, I've driven this car for a couple of hours now and I am used to these buttons. I'm used to the controls of the touchscreen media system. It does have a pretty decent resolution display, except for the reversing camera and surround view camera in this spec. It isn't very high quality. So it might actually leave you wondering whether it's worth having that technology if it's such a blurry image. But hey, tell me what you reckon in the comments. Storage isn't too bad. You've got a pair of cup holders between the seats. There's a covered center console bin here too. You've also got a little storage tray here. No wireless phone charging, but you do get 2 USB ports there. Big bottle holders in the doors. And as I mentioned, this spec is the high one, so it gets a sunroof too. Look, this black fake leather interior trim is pretty fake. I do like the design element across the top of the seat back here, and it is pretty grippy as well, which is nice to see. However, they do feel a bit hot. This is a black car, and obviously black fake leather in a black car is never going to be the most cooling sensation that you experience. And it's not a hot day today, but this car feels quite hot and the air conditioning feels a little bit underdone to me. On really hot summer days, it might be very annoying. Anyway, let's check out the back seat. Now, I've set up the driver's seat for someone my height, and I've got plenty of knee room, a decent amount of foot room. Headroom's just a little bit tight for taller occupants, so you might find that if you do have tall teens, they might not be very comfortable back here, but they'd have to be really tall. Really tall. Now, there's ISOFIX points and 3 top tether points if your kids are smaller, and there's a directional air vent, just the one, which is a bit strange. There's only one vent here. It's probably the quirkiest thing about this car. In fact, there's only one USB port in the back as well. You don't get a flip down armrest and cup holders, but you do get map pockets, and you also get bottle holders on the doors. So it's pretty good. And the seat comfort, it's super squishy. I mean, it's made for sitting in, which is great. Yeah, not bad. You've got 2 choices when it comes to powertrains in the MG5. The entry-level model, the Vibe, comes with a 1.5 litre non-turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's the same engine essentially as what you find in the MG3, but unlike that car, it comes with a CVT automatic transmission, and yeah, that's not going to light many people's fires, let me tell you. Now, this one here is the one you should be picking if you are going to buy an MG5. It's the turbocharged 1.5 litre 4-cylinder engine. It has something like 41% more power and 66% more torque than that entry-level engine, and it feels like it's got all that extra grunt. However, it does have a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, which isn't going to be to everyone's tastes. I'll tell you about that in the driving section, which we'll get to now. The MG5 is a pretty nice little car to drive. For the most part, there are some elements which aren't fantastic. One of them you can probably hear right now. It's the amount of road noise that comes into the cabin. On coarse chip roads, it can be really loud. And if you live in a country area where those roads are more common, that might get really annoying really fast. This road that I'm driving on right now is pockmarked and patchy and horrible, and the ride comfort and quality of this car is surprisingly good. It isn't uncomfortably firm or sharp. It coasts over bumps really nicely, and in fact, it's one of the best rides of a car at this price point that I think you'll find. Yeah, it's very impressive. Let's talk about the steering then. Well, it has a few different modes that you can choose from. Normal, and there's a sporty mode as well, and a light mode. So I've just kept it in normal for the most part, and I think it's a really nice balance of Well, easy to turn, but also pretty agile feeling steering. Yeah, it actually is kind of fun to drive this car. It does have a pretty punchy engine. There's easily going to be enough grunt for most people's needs here. And look, it is going to suit most people's needs, except if you do a lot of low speed stop-start driving, because if that's you, this might not be the right car for you because of this 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, which is not great. It's really laggy compared to some other 7-speed dual clutch autos, and at low speeds, particularly if you are taking off from a standstill, you will notice that it's frustrating at times how slow it is to react. Let me just give you a bit of an example of that right now. Just pulling up to this intersection. Sorry, the light's probably going to be a bit rough going the way that I'm turning, but I'll just take off after this car. So lag. Okay, and now we're off. Right, so if that gives you an indication of what you can expect, yeah, it's not fantastic. However, you can learn to drive this car a little bit more gently from a standstill and it will react better. But if you do need to get away from a standstill really fast and you plant the throttle, it's not going to be the most enjoyable experience for you. So that's why I reckon it's going to make a lot of sense for people who are going to use this car for long distance commuting, or maybe you live in a regional area like I'm in right now, just outside Orange. And thanks again to my mates at Orange MG for loaning me this car, because I wouldn't have been able to bring you this review without their help and their support. And speaking of support, if you want to support this channel, hit the link in the description below to check out my merch website. I've got a few different shirts and hats and jumpers and stuff like that. If you are interested in repping the brand for me, I'd really appreciate it. Now, I haven't driven the entry-level model with the non-turbo engine and the CVT, but people I've spoken to say that it's not the best powertrain of the two. Let's just leave it at that. I'm impressed. I'm a lot more impressed than I thought I would be. And look, there are some caveats, obviously. I've explained them already, but for the money, stacks up pretty well. Rightio, let's talk about fuel efficiency. So there are two different powertrains. That means two different fuel consumption figures. The official combined cycle fuel consumption figure for the Vibe model, the non-turbo model, is on your screen now. And that's pretty good. And it's also not that bad if you step up to the turbo version, which has a lot more power and torque. It's just 0.2 of a litre more in terms of official numbers. Now, if you're wondering what I've seen, I've done 100 Ks in this car today, and you'll see the figure on your screen. I was okay with that because over my 100 Ks of testing, I've done urban, highway, stop, start, parking, all sorts of different stuff that you'll probably do as well. And if you can get that sort of number, I think that's pretty good. I've already mentioned it in this review, but this could be the decision maker or deal breaker for you when it comes to choosing the MG5 or not. The safety technology here is nowhere near what the other vehicles in this class are offering. It's part of the reason that it is so affordable. It doesn't have an ANCAP safety rating, and if it were to be ANCAP crash tested, it wouldn't get 5 stars. It might not even get 4. It'd probably get 3 because it doesn't have any of those technologies that you might expect, like active lane keeping assistance, pedestrian detection, cyclist detection, and those sorts of things. But it does have a form of autonomous emergency braking, and it's also got cruise control. It's also got a reversing camera and rear parking sensors in the base model, and a surround view camera in this top spec version. And it has 6 airbags fitted as standard as well, dual front, front side, and full length curtain coverage. So you tell me in the comments, is that a deal breaker? In Australia, MG offers a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which is among the best in the market when it comes to warranty cover. Just keep in mind though, if you are planning to buy an MG5 or any other MG and use it for commercial purposes, maybe you want to drive for Uber or something like that, it only extends to 160,000 Ks of warranty. So just bear that in mind. However, you do get roadside assistance for 7 years and unlimited Ks, or 160,000 Ks, if you do service your car with MG. And speaking of servicing, they are a little bit needy when it comes to the service intervals, 12 months and 10,000 kilometres. You'll see the average prices on your screen now for both the non-turbo and turbocharged versions of this car. It's not expensive to maintain, but it's just something you might want to keep in mind. The MG5 has really impressed me. Look, there are some elements to it which obviously aren't going to suit everyone's needs. That engine and transmission combo at lower speeds can be annoying, and the lack of active safety tech could be a deal breaker for you. But I reckon this car is pretty compelling. It stacks up nicely from a value for money perspective, and it also looks pretty cool too. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Would you buy this? Or would you buy one of the rivals I mentioned? Would you choose something completely different? I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. It helps a lot. And I'll see you in the next one.